Good morning and welcome to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District study session. Okay, our next item is governing board member comments. Do we have any comments from our governing board members? Seeing none. Any other business? None. Then we will adjourn the study session.
And through the chair, we're just going to take a moment in between meetings before we
Okay.
convene the governing board.
Okay.
Take your way, man.
We have a minor
Yeah.
technical difficulty we're going to try to fix before we get going.
We have a volunteer for.
I'll give an update really quick if you. For those that are watching the meeting via the webcast, just want to let you know that there's been a glitch in the Zoom link. We're working on that, and if you wouldn't mind checking the agenda here in just a couple of minutes, it should be up and running. You are still able to view the meeting by webcast, and I'm understanding that we're going to have that updated. So through the chair, if we can start the meeting, and we'll keep you posted on that as any new developments happen on that. We'll make sure to announce it as it gets updated. And I think the public comment item, for example, if you wanted to just perhaps, as we fix that, allow some extra consideration for that. That might be
Maybe
appreciated,
later
yeah.
towards the end.
Yeah, and so I think by the time we get through some of the early parts of the agenda, that should be up and running. So I
Okay,
suggest we start the meeting here.
all right. Well, we will call to order the meeting. Good morning. Welcome to the meeting of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Governing Board. We have board members participating in person at our offices in Fresno, Bakersfield, and Modesto. We will do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with participation via Zoom and webcast. Before we begin, here are some important guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices such as your cell phone. During the meeting, all public participants will be placed on mute by the host. Public members will not be able to mute or unmute manually. Audio for members of the public will be unmuted once they are recognized to make a public comment. After each agenda item, the chair will announce public comment. The clerk will recognize any public attendee who has indicated they wish to speak. Madam Clerk, if we may have a roll call, please.
Okay, good morning. Mr. Chiesa,
Aye.
Mr. Couch.
Here.
Ms. Escutia Brayton, Ms. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Mendez,
Here.
Dr. Pacheco Warner, Mr. Pereira,
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Here.
Mr. Reyna,
I'm here.
Mr. Rickman, Mr. Robinson,
Here.
Dr. Sheriffs,
Here.
Ms. Nguyen, Ms. Shuklian.
Here.
To the chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Our next item is a welcome our new governing board member, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, I believe from the city of Madera. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. Again, Jose Rodriguez. I am the council member, Mayor Pro Tem at the city of Madera, where I'm serving now my third term. Prior to my city council venture, I was a board member at the Madera Unified School Trustee. Served there for 4 years. I practice residential mortgage lending. I've been doing that for over 24 years. I also practice tax advising, been doing that for over 15 years. So I'm honored to be here. I hope that I can become an asset. I also serve on the Madera County Transportation alongside Supervisor McCauley. I serve on LAFCO and Regional Policy Council. So I look forward to being an asset to this control district and look forward to working with all of you. So thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Well, we welcome you, and I'm sure you'll give us a lot of insights and feedback that will be very good for us. And I'm sure you might be put on a few committees here sooner than later. So
Budget committee for sure.
it'll be a while. So
So if any of you guys need a residential mortgage loan,
thank you. All right, our next item is approval of the consent calendar, items 14 through 22. These items are routine in nature and are usually approved by a single vote. Prior to action by the board, the public will be given the opportunity to comment on any consent item. Is there any public comment?
Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on the consent calendar items at this time from Fresno? Any members of the public in Bakersfield that would like to comment on this consent calendar item?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you. Modesto, do you have any members of the public that would like to comment on this item?
No public comment in Modesto.
Okay, seeing none online.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
Motion. Second.
Mendez and Lewis. Vote,
Okay.
please.
Mr. Chiesa,
Aye.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Mendez,
Yes.
Mr. Pereira,
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez,
yes.
Mr. Reyna,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs,
Yes.
Ms. Shuklian.
Aye.
Through the chair, motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. This time is made available for comments from the public on matters within the board's jurisdiction. It is requested that no comments be made during this period on agenda items 7 through 10. The public may make comments on this agenda item during the time allowed for public comment on that item. Attention is called to the fact that the board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Do we have anybody for public comment?
Yes.
Now.
Do we have a member of the public that would like to comment in Fresno? We do have somebody coming up to the podium right now.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Jackie Grazier, and I'm here on behalf of San Joaquin Valley Town Hall. Town Hall has been in existence for 89 years. This is our 89th year, and we are run by an all-volunteer board of directors, and I'm a volunteer. That's what you do when you retire, you volunteer, okay? And we have announced our new list of speakers. We call ourselves the Most Powerful Speaker Series in Central California. And this year's theme is Feed Your Mind. And the reason I'm here in particular is because our season opener is on September 17th. And we have invited Dr. Ashish Jha to be our speaker. It's going to be held at the Paul Chagoyan Memorial Concert Hall in Northeast Fresno. Most of our talks are daytime talks held at the Soroyan Theater in downtown, but we have two what we call twilight talks. Those are held in the evening. And why I felt that this was of particular interest to anybody who is concerned about air pollution and air quality is that he is a global health leader. He was the former White House COVID-19 response coordinator, and he's one of Fortune magazine's world's 50th greatest leaders. And he is going to be speaking about how heat, air pollution, and emerging diseases are impacting our bodies, minds, and healthcare systems. So he is speaking about air pollution and air quality and how it impacts us physically, mentally, our overall health. So I wanted to make that public announcement, invite you all to attend. I have some posters here that I could leave out if anybody is interested in posting a poster somewhere. All of the information is on our website, valleytownhall.com. We sell tickets for the entire season, or you can buy a ticket to a specific talk. And again, we are just a public organization, all volunteer run. We work to keep our costs for the public low. We give out scholarships. We invite students to attend for free. And I just wanted to make that announcement today. So I appreciate all of your time.
Well, thank you. And thank you for bringing that speaker to our attention. And yes, you're more than welcome to leave the items here and we can.
Okay, I'll put them out. Should I put them out front or? Okay, there you go. There's a bunch there.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any other members of the public? We have another public comment in Fresno coming up right now.
Morning, Manuel.
Good morning, Manuel Cunha. I have an item here that's just for informational, but dealing with the California waiver issue. By the way, welcome aboard, Mr. Rodriguez, to the board. This deals with the waivers in which CARB has been removed, the waiver requirements for the zero emissions vehicles and trucks. My comment here is that, excuse me, that CARB is moving forward with the TRUs, the refrigerated vans, making those all electric, which is going to cause tremendous damage and issues for our farming industry and for the movement of goods. Because how do you run those electrical TRU vans without an electric truck? I mean, an electric truck, no one can afford it. And plus you have to have, for every one diesel, you have to have 4 or 5 electrics to make that distance, which is absolutely insane. But the greatest concern I have forward is that CARB is again picking and choosing that whole entire electric, just like they did on the waivers against to where metropolitans or municipalities have to buy electric. But industries are precluded but CARB decided to pick and choose out of the waiver. So my concern is just bringing to this board for informational item. It's not your responsibility. But again, I think the representative that represents CARB from this valley, Dr. Pacheco Warner, I wish he was here because I think that needs to be carried forward, is that to force our independent truckers and truckers to go to electric vans. And how do you deal with that when you get across the border or when you go across to Arizona? How do you plug such a thing in? And how do you get to New York? If you're forced to have that here in this state, something's really going haywire. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I will make it on a note. The Nisei Farmers League and other groups across called the Sustainability Coalition is moving to have the waiver yanked from CARB on the electric vans, the TRUs, because of the destruction it's going to do. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Manuel. Do we have anybody else for public comment?
Any other members of the public in Fresno? Seeing no more in Fresno, are there any members of the public that would like to comment from Bakersfield?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you. Modesto, do you have any public comments?
No public comments in Modesto.
Okay, thank you. And seeing none online.
And our Zoom is still not, apologize to those on Zoom. We may, if it gets going, maybe we can open it up later.
Yeah,
Everybody has-
it does. We've had the Zoom link active
Oh, okay.
for some time now.
Okay.
And so there are public members that are logged in. We'll keep an eye on that. If anything new comes up, we'll let you know, but
Thank you.
we're back to normal. Thank you.
Accidentally. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item, which is a report on District Citizens Advisory Committee activities. You went too far, Manuel. Get your exercise when you come here, huh?
Thank you again, Manuel Cunha, a member of the CAC on behalf of Patricia Matthews, who is the chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee to the board. In your agenda packet, you have various items that were taking place. Shiraz Gill gave the report for the CEO, and it was really short. It was absolutely fantastic. He only talked about a $12 billion shortfall in the governor's budget, and that ended everything. So he did a great job. Second item was the attainment plan that was brought up and went through with Tim on the rules. Third item was the CAC subcommittee, the chair appointed a board of each of the different three categories to review or look at the applicants that for that board seat, the hearing board seat in the northern of the valley here. So we have gotten applications and we got some times so that we will be meeting and then bring it to the CAC in early August and then bring it to the board for final approval for the hearing board. So that was done. The maintenance plan absolutely went through all of that. The district supporting the various funding programs that you took on your legislative platform. The Clean Car Program, absolutely highly important and one of great success. Number 2 was the Farmer Program. And number 3 was the agricultural burn of helping to assist the farmers in the replacement of no burning to grinding or chipping. AB 617, talking about some of the 617 districts in their 5th year and where they're headed in those directions. Very good discussion. Brian from the ARB was present, did a great job. He's an individual who does support the Air District in speaking to us versus some others in ARB that sort of kind of refuse. The last thing was the outreach communications. Jamie Holt did a great job in presenting the various activities and again, talking about all the stuff that's happening for smoke and all of those things. And again, the booklet that the Air District published. And the last thing under the individual board members' comments, Patricia Matthews spoke about that she would be forwarding after her discussions with Dr. Stephen Cliff, the deputy APCO in Sacramento under Randolph chair, the letter that the board unanimously agreed to be sent to him in regards to ARB not being present at the CAC meetings other than quarterly and that how we treated the staff and all of that. She has forwarded the letter that the CAC members requested on June 10th, 2025. And I believe all of you have a copy of that in your board packet that she signed. It went to Randolph, and then it went to all of the Valley legislators in regards to the behavior of CARB and against the air district, in essence, for not participating in any of our meetings. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to.
Do you have any questions for Manuel? Dr. Sharrows, I see you're on the board. Is that a mistake? Okay. You just want to leave it up there all day in case you have something at some point? All right, sounds good. All right. Thank you, Manuel. Our next item is to adopt the district's 25-26 recommended budget. This is an action item.
Good morning,
Samir.
Chair and board members, and welcome to Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez. Look forward to working with you in this role. Just wanted to quickly introduce this item and the process for the Valley Air District in preparing the recommended budget that's before you today for action for the new fiscal year period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2026. Under board policy, the first step in reviewing the recommended budget is establishing and then meeting with the governing board ad hoc budget subcommittee, which is intended to help provide input and guide development of the budget prior to the 2 public hearings, the second of which is today for consideration by the board. I wanted to first again express our gratitude to the budget subcommittee. We may have an early volunteer, I hear, but it's about a year away, so we'll talk about that later for next year. But I wanted to thank the committee members that helped provide that policy guidance for the budget, which again were Chair Shuklian, Council Member Scudia Brayton, Supervisor Rickman, Supervisor McCauley, and Dr. Pacheco Warner. So thanks to all of them for their time. After the budget subcommittee, under state law, your board holds the first of 2 public hearings. The first of those being the hearing held in May for the exclusive purpose of allowing public comment on the budget with no action at that time. And then the second hearing, which is in June today, is where the district considers adoption of the budget. At the May hearing, you heard a really extensive presentation by the district about the budget, took public comment. There was generally very positive comments by the public as well as members of the board at that hearing. In accordance with direction, the budget is not just a set of numbers and figures. During that presentation, we spent a lot of time talking as well about what we did with the current budget, what were the achievements, what were some of the outcomes of that, and then identified our priorities in the coming year and what we do with the public funds that we're entrusted with as it relates particularly to our public health mission. So that hearing again was held back in May in terms of the detailed presentation. We are ready today to go through the presentation again and outline the budget. In the past, that hasn't been a tradition of the board, although obviously with action today, we're happy to take any more questions or comments as you consider action. So through the chair and to the board, please let us know sort of what you'd like to see today. The budget is ready for action. So I will turn it back to you for any further discussion or any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions or comments regarding this? You know, I'm looking at you, Doc. No?
No, I thought maybe we should go through.
Yeah.
Make sure he understands, right?
Next year. Okay, so there are no questions from any board members. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Do we have any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none in Fresno. Bakersfield, do you have any members of the public who would like to comment on this item?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you, Modesto. Do you have any members of the public to comment on this item?
No public comments in Modesto.
Okay, seeing none online.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor
Second.
Mendez and a second by Supervisor McCauley. Before that, again, I just want to thank the budget subcommittee and also staff for all the work that I know a lot of work goes into this. And I know there were some changes and some comments last time, so I appreciate all the work that that goes into this. So with that, roll call, please.
Okay. Mr. Chiesa,
Aye.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Mendez,
Yes.
Mr. Pereira,
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Reyna,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs,
Yes.
Ms. Shucklian,
Aye.
through the chair, motion passes.
Thank you. Phew. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, which is to authorize payments to Casera to reduce unfunded actuarial accrued liability.
Good morning, through the chair. Just a
Morning.
quick tee up, and I'll turn it over to our Deputy Air Pollution Control Officer, Morgan Lambert, to my right here in just a second. One of the items that the board discussed through the subcommittee and then through the public hearing was a cost-saving measure to continue proactively addressing the pension system and making sure that we're being very proactive in reducing ongoing costs. And so one of the items that came out of that conversation was his recommendations before you today. I'll have Morgan basically catch the board up on the specifics of the recommendation, and then I'll close the presentation. So with that, Morgan, if you could start the presentation here.
Thank you, Samir. Like Samir said, I'll cover some of the background of our retirement system as well as your board's interest and some of the prior actions you've taken to address retirement cost. And then Samir can kind of bring home some of the details of the recommendation. Just by way of a really high level background, the district since its inception, we've been a participating employer in the Kern County Employees Retirement Association, Casera. Casera provides the normal suite of retirement and retirement related benefits to its members, including the district. The contributions that we and other participating agencies pay to the retirement plan are based upon Casera's actuarially determined contribution rates that they adopt each year. The board retirement adopts each year and passes on to the agencies. In terms of your board's interests and actions, this has been something that for many years the board has been taking a look at and taking a lot of really proactive steps to try to address these issues with pension costs. Back in 2012, this is prior to PEPRA coming into play, the district negotiated a second tier retirement or tier for any new employee hired after July 1st, 2012. So again, really a proactive step that was leading the way in terms of doing this before it was even, PEPRA was even a law or in place that required some of these changes. Once again, back in 2015, the district negotiated an accelerated transition of legacy employees. So all those employees who were hired prior to that 2012 date to contributing 50% of the total normal cost of retirement. The district is in Casera is a 37 Act retirement system. So under the several provisions for those types of agencies, the legacy employees prior to this were all paying based on age of entry. And so this transition, which was allowed under PEPRA, but wasn't allowed until several years later under PEPRA. So once again, the board was proactive and worked with the Employees Association to kind of move these cost savings measures forward several years and hopefully benefit from those. And then once again in 2017, the board took another step and established the Pension Stabilization Reserve Fund, which was consistent with recommended public agency best practices. And specific to that fund was established to facilitate payments towards reducing the district's retirement funding obligations, including the district's unfunded actuarially accrued liability or UAL. This fund, by matter of the direction of the board, the resolution the board adopted, receives a transfer of 1% of the prior year's UAL from the general fund each year, obviously subject to board approval as part of the budgeting process. It's by the resolution that established the fund, it's to be exclusively used for required Casera contributions or UAL reduction measures or opportunities. And since the inception, the annual transfers have grown the reserve to where it sits at the end of the last fiscal year at $7.3 million. And with that background, I'm going to turn it over to Samir to handle the last slide and kind of the recommendations.
Thank you, Morgan. So as to the recommendations today, I wanted to give you just an update. So as of June 30th, basically the end of last fiscal year, the Casera estimated our UAL to be approximately $113 million. So it's something that obviously we're continually, looking at and working through with the direction that the board has provided. Just to give you a little bit more detail about where the cost savings come from, as intended under the reserve fund, with the Casera assumed 7% investment return interest on the UL, which is essentially a high interest loan. If you were to sort of compare it to, in terms of what it's analogous to, it would exceed 56 million over the 18-year amortization period of the unfunded liability. And so consistent with the goals of the reserve fund that the board established here about 8 years ago now, we've been engaging with Casera. Again, we've also been engaging with the board on this topic as part of the budget development process to really take a look at this and analyze the cost saving opportunities that would be realized from accelerating, again, as intended through the stabilization reserve fund, the funding of that. And the analysis, and I think it's no surprise, did determine that, using these funds through lump sum payments will save millions of dollars in interest that are then realized through the ongoing, operational aspect of budgeting, in the form of, annual savings that the district would receive. It would shorten the time horizon for paying off the UL by several years. And to be a little bit more specific, per the recommendations that are before the board today, it would save a total of $7.4 million in interest, in addition to the actual principal that gets paid down, through the recommended contributions. The recommendations are in your packet. I'm not going to literally read them out loud, but essentially what they consist of is, as you see here on the slide, is a transfer of the amount that's available in the reserve as of this current fiscal year of $7.3 million, a transfer of that amount that's already established in the board's stabilization reserve resolution, the 1% amount, in this new budget year, and then with direction to do that for another 4, basically a total of 5 annual payments, as we kind of keep an eye on the benefits, and basically every year during the budget process, there'd be an opportunity for taking a look at that. These future payments would not be made, without that ongoing review that we'd have to do in the budget process, and without board action to basically approve that as you're seeing today with board approval for each of those budget years. These recommendations are consistent with the board's direction to continue looking at accelerating the savings related to the pension system, as Morgan outlined. Various measures that have been taken will reduce costs and really just ensure that we have what I know the board has taken a lot of pride in: strong fiscal accountability here, and also just very consistent with what you see out there. This is absolutely a best practice that it's recommended that agencies do have funding plans to shave off, and reduce these ongoing costs. In this case, the interest costs that are associated with having this liability. So with that, again, I'm not going to literally read the items that are in the packet. They're captured here on the slide, and I'm happy, Morgan and I are happy to take questions or address any comments that you may have. With that, Chair, I'll turn it back to you.
Hey, Supervisor Mendez.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea because right now we've got the money parked in it's with the Fresno County pool, right? And it only, the interest rate on that's 2.7. So you're basically using it to offset a 7% interest deal. So, I mean, this is a no-brainer. It was good that the board saved this money up and moved it. So I'm fully in support.
Do we have any other comments?
I had a question.
Yes.
Is there a button that I'm pushing here?
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. Well, see, you push this.
Oh, thank you.
That's all right.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
And just wanted to give thanks to Executive Director Shake for spending some time with me and explaining this. I'm assuming Casera works a lot in many ways like CalPERS. So the question I have regarding that assumption of 7%, we're taking that calculation, assuming that it stays at 7%, correct? Future investments, how we move that money or how Casera moves that money doesn't necessarily promise a 7% return. It's assuming a 7% return. future, you could have a bigger unfunded liability as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's generally correct. And I think that's why it's important. I think the engagement, will continue. I think there's a variety with pension systems, there's always a variety of factors that, that come into play. I think at the high level, the benefits will absolutely be there just in terms of the use of the reserve currently, which like Supervisor Mendes mentioned is relatively low return, versus, what is currently that cost, right, and the savings that we realize there. But that can, year to year, that can basically change, and that's something that I think we should always keep a close eye on, as far as like the continued funding of this, and certainly something that I think will come up in future budget years as well for discussion.
Thank you, Director Shake. And again, I do agree with Supervisor Mendes's comments regarding, having a certain rate of return. This is probably a better option to put this down payment to be able to save those millions of dollars over the course of this investment. So thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good that we had a professional actually agree with this here.
No comment, buddy. Do we have any other questions or comments by the board? Okay, do we have any public comment on this item?
Okay, are there any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none in Fresno, do we have any members of the public in Bakersfield that would like to comment?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you, Modesto. Do you have any members of the public that would like to comment?
No public comments in Modesto.
Thank you, and see no online comments.
Okay, so with that, I'll bring it back.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Supervisor Mendez. The second by, was that you, Rusty? By Supervisor Robinson. Roll call, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chiesa.
Aye.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Pereira,
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Reyna,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Yes.
Ms. Shucklian.
Aye.
Through the chair, motion passes.
All right, thank you. Our next item is number 9, which is to accept $9 million in state vehicle replacement funding.
Hi, good morning again, Chair and board members. I'd like to introduce Brian Dodds, who's the grant program manager that oversees what's a wide-ranging set of programs under the district's Drive Clean in the San Joaquin program. Really excited by today's item. I think what you'll see is really a combination of things going on here: new funding from the state, ongoing implementation of a very high priority program that the board has really been heavily involved in designing over the years, and really just meets residents, where they are in terms of the needs that they have, and then making some ongoing modifications to continue using our funds as cost effectively as possible into the future. So wanted to now turn it over to Brian to walk the board and the public through the recommendations before you today.
Awesome.
Morning,
Well,
Brian.
thank you, Samir, and good morning, Chair, members of the board. It's my pleasure to be here with you this morning to talk about our Drive Clean and the San Joaquin incentive program. So as your board is well aware, reducing mobile source emissions, which make up a majority of the valley's emissions, is necessary to meet our federal ambient air quality standards. And the district's voluntary incentive programs play a key role in reducing emissions through clean air partnerships with businesses, the agricultural community, public agencies, and Valley residents by providing financial assistance to help in the transition to the cleanest technologies available. One of our programs, the Drive Clean in the San Joaquin program, provides residents with options for reducing emissions from passenger vehicles through vehicle repairs, our vehicle replacement option, and also rebates for the purchase or lease of new clean vehicles. And while our repair and replacement program options are focused on reaching underserved communities within the valley, which are impacted by older vehicles, high emissions, and fuel costs, the rebate program option has been available to all Valley residents. So we'll start with our vehicle repair program. And this option provides Valley residents with options for reducing emissions from their vehicles with funding for smog-related repairs or emissions-related repairs. This program has been implemented in close partnership with Valley Clean Air Now and has traditionally been implemented through a series of weekend events held throughout the valley where the vehicles are tested to determine the likelihood of failing a smog test. And the owners of high emitting vehicles or those that fail those tests are provided vouchers up to $850 in vehicle emissions repairs, which are then redeemed at participating STAR certified smog shops. And it covers the cost of smog tests, diagnostic time, and emissions related repairs. Ultimately, vehicles that might have lapsed registrations are able to complete the registration process once the repairs are completed and the vehicle passes the smog test. So it helps get them back in the registration system as well. In addition to the weekend events, several years ago, a direct participation process was developed and approved by your board that allows participants the opportunity to contact Valley Can directly in order to be issued a voucher and schedule a visit to a smog shop. And this program model has allowed Valley residents to participate in the program and at the time and the manner in which is most convenient for them and helped increase participation in the program. So far this fiscal year, the district has provided funding for over 15,000 repairs through the program. That number will increase as we finish out the fiscal year here. And the weekend events continue to provide a great opportunity to engage residents on the vehicle replacement program, as well as other incentive programs, including lawnmower and fireplace programs that are available to Valley residents as well. Our program has been recognized a number of times through the years for our ability to effectively connect with residents in need while also ensuring emission reductions. Happy to highlight the UCLA Luskin Center for Innovation, which applauded the district's program implementation, including not only the environmental impacts, but also the economic benefits of the program. And California's fourth climate change assessment report also recognized the vehicle repair program and stated that vehicle emissions in the San Joaquin Valley are decreasing and that the program is a model of balancing efficiency and equity. So always great to receive some recognition for the great work that we're doing. If you haven't been to an event, they're actually a lot of fun. And a great opportunity to engage with people. The events generally get 300 to 500 people that show up. They're tested. Everybody's very happy and in a good mood, and great kind of opportunity to connect with folks there. The district's 25-26 budget, which was just approved, includes $12 million in funding through the incentive spending plan for the continued implementation of the repair program. And this includes the cost of the vehicle repairs, but also event-related expenses and program administration costs associated with running the program. We're proposing to hold 16 events throughout the valley in the next fiscal year, and we'll continue that direct participation process. Each county throughout the district typically has 2 events. That's true for this coming fiscal year. And we expect that this program funding can support approximately 18,000 vehicle repairs over the next year. The second component of our Drive Clean program is the vehicle replacement option, which provides funding to replace an older high-emitting vehicle with a newer, cleaner alternative. This program option was approved by your board in 2014 and ultimately served as the model for what has now become the state's Clean Cars for All program. We were a leader in implementing this option, and the state has followed. And since 2015, we've received over $110 million in state funding to operate our vehicle replacement program. This program provides incentives up to $12,000 to Valley residents, depending on the income level of the participant, whether or not they live in a disadvantaged community, and the type of replacement vehicle that is being purchased. And so far through program implementation, we've replaced over 9,300 high polluting vehicles with cleaner options, with the new vehicles primarily being electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles over the time. The district and Valley Can have developed a unique and very effective outreach strategy for program implementation by utilizing a grassroots community-driven approach to reaching residents in underserved communities throughout the valley. And the primary mechanism for participation in the program is through weeknight community events, which are held at a local business or other public space, and really are a great opportunity to engage the community members about the program. These community events have proven to be extremely effective in engaging with residents who otherwise may not have been able to participate for whatever reason. At these weeknight events, Valley Can staff is there and they provide assistance in completing applications or answering questions about the program, helping to support their participation. In addition, we've utilized partnerships with community-based organizations to communicate program information and social media to conduct localized outreach to connect with residents. Again, with this particular program, our outreach approach has been recognized for its success in reaching residents most in need. Luskin Center report highlighted the district's ability to reach residents in underserved communities, noting that the efforts of the district appear largely focused on reaching those low-income communities while still attaining emission reductions. So very effective in reaching the goals of the program. So effective that the program really has resulted in high levels of demand for the program funds, typically exceeding the available funding that we have for the program. And based on that demand, in December last year, we needed to stop accepting applications for a period of time. In March, your board approved an additional $9.4 million in funding to continue program implementation, while we also continue to advocate for additional funding resources. As a result of this advocacy, the state's early action budget included $17 million in additional funding for the vehicle replacement program. And of this 17 million, today's item, we're receiving $9 million of that, with the balance going to Bay Area and also to CARB for program implementation. So our district certainly receiving the majority of the funds associated with that $17 million allocation. So with the previous $9.4 million that was approved by your board in March and this $9 million allocation, we have about an additional $18.4 million in funding to support the continued implementation of the program. We expect that that'll support about 1,250 additional vehicle replacement projects. It will all just depend on kind of the mix of how those projects are ultimately completed. So based on the funding that was approved in March and anticipation of this additional funding, we resumed application workshops from April through early June throughout the Valley. Based on the success and the number of applications that we received, the current application queue that we have may be sufficient to support all of this additional funding. And we'll have a better idea over the coming months as we review and approve projects and as they're completed, sort of what funding might remain that would allow us to support additional projects. So we may at some point later this year need to relaunch weeknight application events to provide additional funding resources. All just depends on kind of how the current queue gets settled. These are just some samples of the customers that have gone through the program. We hear a lot of positivity from participants about the process and about their opportunity to get into a new vehicle, which is often way more reliable, more fuel efficient, has some big benefits to participants there. And the third component of our Drive Clean in the San Joaquin program is the vehicle rebate option. This option was approved by your board in 2012 with the goal of accelerating adoption of clean transportation among Valley residents and businesses. We've provided up to $3,000 in rebates traditionally for the purchase or lease of new zero emission or low emission vehicles. At the time this program was adopted by your board, EV adoption was limited with few models, makes and models available, minimal charging infrastructure, and kind of it was a new technology, so public awareness was not extremely high at the time. Since then, we've seen EV adoption increase with a wider range of vehicle options, certainly more opportunities for charging infrastructure, and a lot more awareness of what electric vehicles or cleaner transportation can do. To date, we've provided over $102 million in rebates to Valley residents, and we've seen a pretty significant increase in participation over the last 5 years or so. Ultimately, this program has been successful in its goal of encouraging early adoption of clean transportation in the Valley. Certainly, as market availability has increased, maybe prices have come down a little bit. There's less reliance on consumer incentives. And recently, while California overall exceeded 25% of all vehicle sales being electric vehicles, the Valley still trails the rest of the state at about 10% of new vehicle sales. So certainly still a need to have incentives here to help encourage that adoption and participation. In recent years, we've been oversubscribed for funding in this particular program, and needed to shut down the program to new applications for periods of time during the fiscal year. Today's recommendation, which would be to reduce the incentive levels associated with the program, would help support, continue to support EV adoption, still providing a meaningful incentive to folks while allowing more participants in the program. So in the budget that was recently approved, we allocated $5 million for this particular program option. Changing the incentive levels will help support about an additional 800 or so rebates for Valley residents. This table represents the proposed changes to the rebate levels. So they would range from $2,000 to $500. They're depending on the type of vehicle. The vast majority of participation in this program has been for battery electric rebates, with a smaller percentage for like plug-in hybrids. But those two options are really kind of the bread and butter of the program. And if today's recommendations are approved by your board, we'll take a couple of different steps. Number one, we'll enter into new agreements with Valley Can for the continued implementation, for their role in the continued implementation of the vehicle repair and replacement programs. And additionally, we'll update any program documents for the vehicle rebate program to reflect the updated incentive levels and relaunch the program in July. And then ultimately, finally, what we need to do is continue advocating with CARB, the legislature, and other stakeholders to help identify long-term solutions that will help support continued implementation of the vehicle replacement program. Just the demand for that program continues to be very strong. The recommendations for today's item are before you. Before turning it back over to your board, Tom Knox is available over Zoom to say a few words from Valley Can's perspective about the program.
Good morning, Tom.
Hey, good morning, board members. Thank you for a great year. And it's really truly been a great year this past 12 months. Thanks to the teamwork of Valley Air District staff led by Samir. It's just been a remarkable year of getting a lot of fundamental improvements done in both the small repair program and vehicle replacement. And as a result, we are poised to go into this next year much more efficient. And so a majority of the funds can be spent on repairs for the drivers who need the most. We are looking forward to a big increase in the number of cars that we'll be able to repair this next year, thanks to these improvements, thanks to the coordination with the district. And then all this would not be possible without the board. So we've loved having some of you out to our events this past year. I'd love to have a goal of you all come to an event this next year and see for yourselves what Ryan was just outlining of, our turnout strong, the motivation of these customers to solve their problems is very strong. We see that in increased results throughout this past year. So we would love to have you out and show you how this works on the ground. So big thanks to board and staff for making all this work. And we can't wait for another year of success. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you and your staff also for all the work that you do. I've been to an event in the past and it's no pun intended, but a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, there was definitely pun intended.
There was pun intended, but not at first. All right. We ready for questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So Supervisor Pereira, you have a question or comment?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm just kind of curious on the incentives for the purchase of the zero emission vehicles. Hydrogen fuel cell is still an emerging technology, and so I was just curious why staff was recommending cutting that incentive at this time.
Through the chair, yeah, I think that's actually a really great question and something that we have our eye on, in terms of the development of the hydrogen infrastructure, as well as where technology is. And you're absolutely right, Supervisor. I think that with passenger vehicles and other categories as well, that while the vehicles are there, the fueling is still a major challenge. And so the vehicle prices are actually, I mean, this is for those of us that have been following this, probably no surprise, but maybe more generally could be surprising. The actual price of a hydrogen fueled vehicle is actually pretty low. And part of the reason for that is that it's really difficult to find the fuel. and when you do, the fuel is very expensive. So it is something to keep an eye on. I think that the board has discretion over this this topic in terms of these numbers could be at different levels. I think primarily it was driven more by the price of the vehicle and the availability. You can buy a vehicle today. You can buy it at a pretty reasonable cost. In fact, there's like fire sale because of the fueling issue with hydrogen on the vehicle pricing side. But it is something we can keep a close eye on as well. And sort of, as that develops, perhaps we can just sort of make a note to ourselves here to make sure this program is responsive to that particular sector. But it is up to the board, really. I mean, that is something that the board, if you had an interest, for example, in changing that amount, certainly, there's an opportunity for that. But just wanted to let you know a little bit about the rationales, more based on the vehicle pricing as it stands today.
Right, but the incentive then could go to help pay or offset the fuel cost.
Yes.
So okay. Well, when we get to the motion time, maybe I'll make an amendment to do that.
We're at the edge of our seat. Thank you. Councilwoman Deborah Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of questions. On page 8, it speaks to, and I'm assuming, I don't know if this is in past history, about the incentive range from $7,000 to $12,000. Was that based on early parts of this program? And when it talks about disadvantaged community status, is that based on SB 617 communities only, or does that refer to anyone within any of our communities that are disadvantaged in regards to their income?
Correct. Great questions. And through the chair, the $7,000 to $12,000 does represent sort of the historical range of incentives. Primarily, what we're seeing at this point is incentives in the $10,000 to $12,000 ballpark, just based on the types of vehicles that people are purchasing and income levels. Disadvantaged communities extends well beyond AB 617 communities. We use the Cal Enviro Screen tool that's developed by the state to identify disadvantaged communities within the valley. It's a large portion of the valley, and so we can support quite a few people in those communities through the program. There are also opportunities for folks that are not in disadvantaged communities to participate in the program. They're just eligible for slightly lower incentives as well.
Excuse me, would that be the income? I mean, the proposed rebates on page 15, where it goes from 3,000 down to 2?
Yeah, everybody can participate in that program. And then while the replacement program is primarily focused and geared towards disadvantaged communities, it's not a 100% requirement. So you can be a resident in a non-disadvantaged community and participate. You're still subject to the income requirements, and you would be eligible for slightly lower incentives.
Okay, all right. And in regards to the hydrogen fuel, I don't have all the details, but I think in Merced County with MCAG, there's going to be this issue where they're going to do a trial basis with their buses to do hydrogen fuel. So at some point, I think maybe in the future, if it proves to be feasible, that might be something that the board can look at. But right now, I don't know that it's a feasible thing to include hydrogen fuel vehicles when we don't have enough fueling stations throughout the valley, throughout the state of California to accommodate people to purchase those type of vehicles. It's a good idea. It's a lot less expensive, but the infrastructure is not there yet. And Merced County is looking at working on that again with their buses. And if some other county wants to participate in there with their bus systems or larger fleet type things, that might be a workable idea. But I struggle to see that it's going to work for an individual to get a rebate for this program with a hydrogen fuel vehicle. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, the infrastructure is not there yet for hydrogen fuel, but there wasn't much infrastructure for electric cars not that long ago. And now there's been a tremendous expansion for individuals' car use, for supporting the trucking industry. I would certainly support Supervisor Perea offering an amendment and leaving the hydrogen fuel cell rebate at the original amount. I don't think there'll be a lot of applicants, but I think it's a statement from the district that we support innovation and that there's not one fuel answer to all the needs out there. This whole program is speaking to what over and over the district points out. We don't have direct authority over mobile sources, and mobile sources are absolutely critical to achieving the more healthful air quality goals, greenhouse gas reduction goals. And this is a time that we need to be even more creative in responding. California has been withdrawing new waiver requests that would have led to important contributions with decreases on the mobile source side. And California is having to defend waivers that have already been approved and represent years of negotiation between the state and automakers and other stakeholders. So this kind of a program is even more important. It's a way for us to have an impact. And these are obviously very difficult and challenging times, and really salute the staff finding money where many people would have thought there was no money. Bunch of magicians out there. And thanks, Tom. Always great to hear you. Always great to see you. Obviously the support of the district staff and the board in this undertaking, but thanks to you, Tom Knox, for your staff looking for ways for efficiency, continuing to look for ways to reach out to the most disadvantaged and the most affected communities in the Valley. So it's great to see this money. Thank you, staff, for your advocacy.
Vice Chair McCauley.
Thank you, Chair. Couple things. First and foremost, great program. Would definitely encourage my colleague from Madera to attend on the 12th. I think next month we're first in line. So try to get that on your calendar. I'd love to see you there and join you, and maybe we get some lunch afterwards. Also, definitely supportive of Supervisor Perea's comments in regards to the hydrogen. I think that, if we have an opportunity to lead the way on this type of stuff, we should definitely take advantage. And then a quick question. In regards to the incentives for the replacement, can folks double up on that and the rebate if they qualify for the replacement, and they can go in and also do a rebate? Or
Yeah, great question. Short answer is no. We can't combine like two district programs.
Sure.
There are other rebates, for instance, through PG&E and other utilities that folks can take advantage of. And one of the great things that we've been able to do through the weeknight events and sort of the method of participation in the program is really help connect folks to those other options.
That's great.
And so a lot of the folks that are eligible for those other rebates are taking advantage of stacking those to help make the project even better.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you.
I have a question too. Kind of on those lines, I've always wondered, they're getting maybe not always a brand new car, but the cost of that car, and a lot of these folks are, from disadvantaged households. Is there some kind of, special financing? Is there a financing assistance through certain credit unions and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another great aspect of the program that we've been able to develop and sort of lead the way on. Valley Can, through their efforts, has connected applicants with credit unions that are designed to help in these situations. Self-help enterprises is probably one of the closest ones that we work with, and they're able to provide lower interest loans to folks. So that makes the projects a little bit more affordable. Probably an average project, I would say, in this program, the used vehicles that people are getting are probably in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. So with our incentive and maybe being able to stack with PG&E or other rebates, it provides a pretty good portion of the cost of those vehicles. There are, remaining balances that most people end up financing, but we do try and get them in the best possible situation to be successful
And to be able to
moving
qualify
forward.
also.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I don't see any more. Oh, yes. Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So along those lines with the available rebates and what have you, does the outreach help folks understand that there's also tax credits available with the state and possibly the federal? Do they provide that outreach so they understand that if I'm trying to buy a used vehicle or maybe a used EV, that there may be additional rebates to combine with the other credits that are being provided?
Yes, another great question. And that's exactly what we do. And a lot of the dealerships are able to take tax credits at the time of purchase and apply those to vehicle purchases. So as much of that networking and assistance that we can provide to applicants, we're 100% doing and supporting those efforts.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Through the chair, before public comment, just wanted to affirm that, there's been some good conversation about the hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. The board has adopted policy positions that do emphasize the need to continue supporting, this wide range of technologies, and really just given its sort of current status in, still not widely deployed, say, as maybe battery electric vehicles are. There is a lot of, I think, good rationale consistent with the adopted policy positions of the board that would support perhaps treating it differently than the rebate levels for the battery electric vehicles. I just wanted to kind of remind the board that the board has taken some policy positions that I think would help provide support to some of the conversation around, perhaps not changing the hydrogen rebate level. So just want to give a little more background as to the broader picture, and I think there's definitely a case to be made for that from staff's perspective.
Sure. Deborah, did you have a question?
Thank you. I just want to double back to say that I'm not against hydrogen fuel in any way. It's just limited. And I think the more larger agencies are able to get the information out or test the feel, for lack of words, of whether that's going to gain popularity, which I hope it does, since it's a less expensive way of having a vehicle on the road and accomplishing the same task of less emissions. That's the only point that I was trying to make. I'm not against it. I'm glad that our staff and the board has given direction in the past to support that area. Only just making the point that, when someone is looking at that particular type of vehicle, that it's going to be difficult to find fuel. And so that's certainly going to be up to the customer's discretion as to whether or not they want to do that. But I just want to come back to say I'm not against it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see no more questions from board members. Do we have any public comment?
Do we have any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment on this item? Do we have any members of the public in Bakersfield that would like to comment on this item?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you. Modesto, do we have any members of the public for this item?
No public comments in Modesto.
We do have one online comment. Kevin Abernathy.
Hi, Kevin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the governing board. I just wanted to make a quick comment, and I think Dr. Sheriffs can bookend this for me. We have built it, and we are seeing, 20 minutes due west of you is the first green hydrogen project, I think, anywhere in the United States that's currently fueling the Fresno rapid transit buses. And we have a lot of opportunities to expand the ability to get fuels to other locales throughout the state. But first, you gotta build it, you gotta produce it, which we can check those boxes. And now we're just hoping to continue to promote the first green hydrogen project and fueling capabilities as we move forward. So anything we can do to continue to bolster the investment on the Kerman project, we would greatly appreciate it. Myself, milk producers, along with H2B2 and Bar 20. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay.
There's no further comments.
Supervisor Pereira, I see your name up there. I'm assuming you want to make a motion.
I do, Madam Chair. And I'm going to do this so that you can sit back in your seat. I move staff recommendation for item 9. And with the exception of the incentive for hydrogen fuel cell, that we leave that current or that rebate amount at the current $3,000.
Second that.
Is that veto? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Okay, also through the chair, Ms. Escutia Brayton and Mr. Rickman have joined the meeting as well.
I noticed that.
Mr. Chiesa,
Aye.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Ms. Escutia Brayton,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Pereira,
Aye.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Reyna,
Yes.
Mr. Rickman,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Yes.
Ms. Shuglian.
Aye.
Through the chair, motion passes.
All right. Thank you all for that. We'll now move on to item 10, which is to approve a contract for advertising and marketing agency representation for comprehensive multilingual public education and outreach.
Good morning. My name is Jamie Holt. I'm the Chief Communications Officer at the district, and I have a short presentation to go through. To support our mission, your board has always placed a high priority on public education and outreach designed to enlist the residents, businesses, public agencies, and local organizations in really helping us move our mission forward. It's a big valley. You all know this. We have 25,000 square miles, 8 counties, 60 cities, over 4.2 million residents. To help get that message out, we annually retain an advertising agency to research, develop, and implement a multilingual public outreach campaign. We use that campaign to promote primarily our summer campaign, which we call Healthier Living. It encourages people to take action during the summer, whether it's to watch air quality, be wildfire ready, do little things like maybe what we were just talking about, think about electric vehicle or invest in electric lawn care equipment. During the winter, we do our winter wood smoke reduction strategy program, which encourages people to reduce residential wood smoke, and that has a whole variety of different components. Then we have our grant programs, we have our community air protection program. So it's a wide slate of things that we do outreach and advertising on. Your board has 3 main outreach and education objectives. The first one is to encourage and enlist the public support in our clean air efforts and to let them know how they can take actions to improve air quality and public health for all Valley residents. The next one is really to empower residents to understand air quality and take action when air quality is poor, especially when we have those smoke impacts from wildfires. And then the last one, which I think has become even more important in recent years, is getting the public to understand really air quality has improved, people. This is a big thing that we like to tell people. Air quality has improved. It's not as doom and gloom as some folks want us to maybe be talking about, but That's not to say that we don't have a long way to go. We want the public to understand the actual situation about air quality here in the Valley, understand the achievements that we've made, and understand the challenges that remain. We selected Archer and Hound Advertising through a competitive RFP process in 2021 to help us with our advertising and marketing efforts. At the time of that RFP, they were deemed to provide the best value for us as an agency. They're highly reputable. As a matter of fact, they're used by several agencies up and down the Valley. During that RFP process, it allowed for this to be up to a 5-year agreement with multiple 1-year agreements that had to come back to our board. This is the last potential renewal under that RFP process, which means that come the beginning of next year, we'll be looking to figure out what the next step is. Is that RFP? Is that bringing things internal? How are we going to do that? But this is the last potential renewal under that 2021 process. They work under our direction. I talk to them. I bug them on a regular basis to make sure that our strategy is on point, that we're placing our commercials where they need to be, that we're really just getting value for our money. They also help us secure free media. These are like the buy one, get one, leveraging our billboards, maybe getting extra time on the billboards, that type of thing. Over the past year, they've done a great job for us. We negotiated in the RFP process that we would get a 5% discount off the industry standard commission rate for media they place. Most of the time, that's a 15% commission rate. We negotiated that down, so it's actually only a 10% commission rate that they get, and then we reinvest that money into the campaign. Some of the things that we've had to be really strategic about in this kind of new media moment that we've been experiencing for about the last 15 years is really making sure that we leverage our placement and that when we place media, we're getting the right eyeballs on it. Some example of this is when we do broadcast TV, we place ads on the more traditional KC24, KBAK, the more traditional ABCs, CBSs, NBCs. When we place ads on those stations, we want to make sure that we're doing it at times when people are really watching. They're not DVRing or they're not coming back and watching it after the fact. So we often do sporting events. We actually are already looking at doing, rumor has it Fresno State's going to have a good football team this year. So we're looking at maybe some Fresno State games this year. Are there award shows or things that I learned it called must-see TV? When people are actually going to turn on live TV, they're going to watch the commercials, they're going to have it running. Another thing we do is I spend a lot of time talking about billboard locations. Billboard locations is complex. You would think I used to think it was easy. It's not. Billboards get snapped up really quickly. And I want to make sure our billboards locations are in places they need to be. During the winter, that means they're in neighborhoods where folks might have old wood burning devices. In the summer, they tend to be places where folks might be on the road, highways, where they're going to be traveling up and down for vacation. So we really look strategically at this and make sure that we're spending money where it's effective. Up in the north, you guys have a fun challenge in that you guys get the Sacramento media market. So we're not placing the same buys in Sacramento that we are in Fresno and Bakersfield, because if I place a commercial on one of the ABC stations up in Sacramento, those are a lot of eyeballs that are not in the Valley. So in Sacramento, we use a lot of cable TV. That's your HGTV, your ESPNs, where I can actually say, we're just going to run these ads on HGTV or ESPN in these zip codes. We also do a very layered approach. With the advent of social media, it's really about people seeing your ad on multiple platforms several times. So I want them to see our ad on TV. Maybe their kids see the ad on their streaming platform, the Hulus, the YouTubes, the Slack, or the, I forget the other one. Yes, yeah, Instagram, thank you. Social media here. Instagram, Facebook, any of those platforms. And then maybe they're even going to go in and search. They're going to go to Home Depot and they're going to say, I need a new lawnmower. You know that little ad that comes up next to Home Depot that says, hey, come over here and buy your lawnmower from somebody else? It might be a little ad that pops up and says, hey, if you buy an electric lawnmower, you can get a rebate from the Valley Air District. That multi-layered approach really helps us get really an outstanding kind of eyeballs or impressions on our campaign. We consistently exceed industry standards. A big part of that is we're often doing what you guys just talked about. We're giving money. People get a little more attention when you say, hey, you can have some money. but our click-through rate, our CTR, usually exceeds all the standards for these types of programs. I already talked a little bit about the different campaigns that we run during the winter. We were way over our initial goal. Again, a big part of that, I think, is because we said we have a wood stove change-up program. We'll help you swap out your device. Summer campaign, we do traditional media, as I mentioned, the different streaming services. Native content is that Google ad oh, sorry, there was someone, Manuel Cunha, in the back whose cell phone is going out and threw me off. Yes, checking his Instagram. We also do that search engine marketing. That's when someone's looking for a wood burning device and they'll see our ad. And then of course, lots of social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Nextdoor, lots of variety in our social media. These are some static examples of our outreach. I want to thank you all and the public. We use the public in a lot of our outreach. I believe that was an idea that may have come from, actually, it may have been your predecessor, Rusty, that gave us the idea to go out and use the public who's gotten our grants in our commercials. I'm going to show you a few commercials right now. You'll recognize some of these folks.
Air quality in the San Joaquin Valley is getting better.
However, due to our unique challenges, there is still work to be done.
You can help. Pay attention to air quality and protect yourself when it's poor.
During the winter, residential fireplaces are one of the biggest causes of air pollution.
Choose not to use your wood-burning fireplace, stove, or outdoor fire pit.
You can help improve your health and your neighbors by caring about our air.
For more information, visit valleyair.org.
I'm Ivan Hurd. I'm a third-generation ag and livestock farmer here in Kings County. I went through the tractor replacement program, and it's a simple process. San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control, they'll help you do your paperwork. The grants are what they seem. I got a 165 horsepower tractor here, the 6150R. This tractor here is $200,000 new. It's slightly used, and this tractor costs $94,000, and all I have to pay is $20,000. So I'm living proof of it.
Air quality in the San Joaquin Valley is getting better.
However, due to our unique challenges, there's still work to be done.
You can help. Pay attention to air quality and protect yourself when it's poor.
During the winter, residential fireplaces are one of the biggest causes of air pollution.
Choose not to use your wood-burning fireplace, stove, or outdoor fire pit.
You can improve your health and your neighbors by caring about our air.
For more information, visit valleyair.org.
It's that time of the year again, winter, where the cold and flu germs are impacting our health and our lungs. There are things that we can do as a community to help protect our lungs. The first simple thing, don't use your wood-burning fireplace or stove. Wood-burning smoke can cause problems to those who have a history of asthma, chronic lung diseases, a heart history, and a stroke history. So be kind to yourself and your neighbors. Burn less this winter. Our lungs thank you.
Nosotros somos la familia Ventosa y vivimos en Madera, California. El programa realmente es rápido, es muy fácil y pues el beneficio que quema uno limpio, lo usa uno pues casi diario y aparte de eso pues realmente es más rápido en vez de quemar leñas.
Y como vienen mis nietos pueden jugar cerca y es más segura para ellos.
Como le digo, realmente así podemos contribuir a no contaminar el aire.
Air quality in the San Joaquin Valley is getting better.
However, due to our unique challenges, there's still work to be done.
You can help. Pay attention to air quality and protect yourself when it's poor.
During the winter, residential fireplaces are one of the biggest causes of air pollution.
Choose not to use your wood-burning fireplace, stove, or outdoor fire pit.
You can help improve your health and your neighbors by caring about our air.
For more information, visit valleyair.org.
My name is Kelly Owens, and I'm from Bakersfield, California.
My name is Diane. I'm owner of Speedway Smog here in Bakersfield. The Tune-In Tune-Up program has been around for a long time. Not only does it pay for the pre-test and the diagnosis and the repairs that is emissions related, the end result is a past smog.
Money was a little tight. When you're smogging 3 cars, that expense can come up out of nowhere. With so many people around having financial difficulties, this really benefits the community.
air quality in the San Joaquin Valley is getting better.
However, due to our unique challenges, there is still work to be done.
You can help. Pay attention to air quality and protect yourself when it's poor.
During the winter, residential fireplaces are one of the biggest causes of air pollution.
Consider upgrading your wood burning device to a gas or electric option.
You can help improve your health and your neighbors by caring about our air.
For more information, visit valleyair.org.
Trevor Myers Farming, out here in Fireball. Farm about 3,000 acres of almonds, harvest about 5,000 acres. Do some pistachios, cherries, olives for olive oil. We had 4 of the older style PTO 480 harvesters and using those for 20 years. So we just got 2 of the new Flory self-propelled low dust harvesters, and it's been a night and day difference. I found out about the low dust harvester program through our John Deere dealer in Madera. They let me know how it worked. I called in, got some info, and after that, the process went quick. I think all in all, we were wrapped up in 3 months. So this process was kind of a no-brainer. First off, the harvesters go twice as fast. They produce a lot less dust. It's got 3 chains that allow the dirt to fall to the ground before it actually gets pushed up into the air, like the old style one. We went from 4 old ones that were 25 years old. They were inefficient. They were constantly needing repair. And the 2 new ones are keeping up with what the 4 old ones used to do. So it's just a lot cleaner, faster, more efficient way of doing it.
So those commercials were an example of just some of the work we do. Most of them were 30-second bites. That last one was a longer form, which we sometimes use on social media. And that's all done in-house. We have a great team. I know most of you have met my team. They're small but mighty, and they really, I think, just do tremendous work. Talked a lot about this, but depending on the needs during the course of the year, we have our big summer campaign, we have our big winter campaign, and then we talk about incentive programs, we talk about community engagement, we promote our public-facing air quality tools, especially when we have wildfire impacts, and then anything else as needed that comes up during the course of a year. These are the financial details on the agreement. It is a 12-month contract at just over $702,000. You just approved the budget, which includes this amount in it. Although the contract can be terminated with 30 days notice if something weird were to come up and we needed to do that. We do monthly invoicing, monthly proof of performance. I'm talking with the team on a regular basis. They track it, our finance team tracks it. So we really understand where our money is going. With that, there's the recommendation. Be happy to answer any questions. And Samir.
Just real quick closing comment. Just wanted to acknowledge the great work that Jamie and her team does. You know, we have a huge air basin, and she has a pretty small department, but they do get out there. I know a lot of you have worked closely with her, and you know, I think this contract is really just a part of a broader, major effort that Jamie and again her team, you know, spearheads. So I just wanted to, you know, kind of close with just a acknowledgement of all the great work that she's been doing. And what I think is going to be, you know, looking ahead to the coming year and beyond, it's just an ongoing major initiative, I think, of this board to continue working with all of our stakeholders to really highlight the great work and then use that as a means of encouraging even more into the future. So thank you.
Right.
Back to you, Chair.
Speaker board is lighting up. All I know is it's a good thing I'm not in a witness protection program, because it would be a fail as many times as people say, I saw your billboard, I saw your commercial and whatnot. So we will start with Supervisor Robinson.
Jimmy, first of all, good work. I have a question. Back when I used to purchase advertising, we kind of had our mind on 3 different things for demographic, right? I think it was age, income, gender, but we're so broad-based here. When you're buying advertising, what is your demographic?
It really depends on what program it is and what we're doing. So if we're doing the winter program and it's the Don't Use Your Fireplace, that tends to be a little bit of an older demographic, people that we think would own a home. is really who we're looking at. People in urban areas, because the rural areas, they tend to not fall under the same rules in the wood burning rule that the urban areas do. So with some of our grant programs, it really depends on two things. One, is it for anyone, or is it certain communities that this is really going after? And then at times I track the spending based on region as well. We want to make sure that we spend equitably based on population in the 3 different regions of the Valley. So at times we've even gone back in and said, you know what, we need to spend a little bit more down south. We haven't spent as much down south in the southern media market as we have in Fresno or in Sacramento. So we need to adjust those levers a little bit. And that then will say, okay, we may just run an ad for the lawnmower program just in the south, just to get a little more people involved in that program there. Some of our campaigns is just throwing out a wide net, though. Wide net, and trying to get the message out to as many people as possible. We also sometimes do campaigns that are really targeted at younger folks. We have, and I didn't bring them up today, but we have a commercial that we call The Mysterious Stranger. It's a little edgy, to be honest. It's this kind of weird guy in a home telling you that you need to upgrade your device. And that's on social media. That's for kind of a younger, kind of Gen Z millennial demographic. So it kind of depends on the campaign is the short answer.
One more follow-up. Because you have your own group, do we have our own marketing agency?
We don't. So we have a team that kind of acts as it. We have our little creative team, small but mighty. It's really only 3 people. And then the kind of other outreach professionals I have, many of whom can serve in that role as well. But we don't have, outside of the advertising agency, a separate kind of PR or marketing firm. We actually also work really closely with our policy and government affairs group, which I know Samira has kind of spearheaded, and make sure there is some overlap in that messaging with Mark's team, and making sure that when we're talking to agencies or electeds or anything in that realm, that message is in line, and we're branding it appropriately and all that type of stuff.
Just something to think about. I saw the 5% discount that you're getting. And sometimes though, if you set up a marketing agency, there's additional discounts. But I'll talk to you about that.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair. Jamie, it was a pleasure to meet you and your team. I do got to say that I've been through a lot of photography sessions, and that by far is way up there. I appreciate that. Made me feel like an actor when I was going through that. But I do.
I just have to share, my teams love working with you, and you had a little joke. They asked you if you spoke Spanish, and you were like, of course I do. And then he proceeded to speak Spanish like Jamie speaks Spanish. And my team was like, what did I do with Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez? He thinks he speaks Spanish, but he does not speak. And then, of course, you were like, you look like you belonged on TV because your Spanish is so good.
Thank you. Appreciate your staff did great. And I just wanted to thank Supervisor Robinson for his comments, because my question was along those lines. Demographics, how intentional the marketing is. But I think you mentioned that you have a net of all these media outlets that you try to broadcast. More importantly is, defining those demographics. You mentioned, people that are purchasing homes. Obviously, those would, probably be better suited for a chimney deal, right? And when it comes to demographics, I'm assuming that you're very intentional in looking at those genders, or, people that purchase, people that drive. Don't know if it really applies to teens, how they're not driving, they're not owning any homes, but, just the intention of being very aggressive with your marketing. And those were my questions, but I think you addressed those when Supervisor Robinson asked that question.
You're exactly right. The one thing I didn't mention, though, is we do a lot of placed Spanish language, and that is based on demographic data as well.
Thank you again.
Supervisor Mendez.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for not playing my outtakes.
Oh, you had outtakes? I didn't have any outtakes.
No, I do them. I do them on purpose. Jamie knows it. But anyway, this whole process, I guess that's a good thing about being here a long time, is just continue to mature and get better and better and better. And I thank you for leading that team. I mean, before we used to have to pay a production company to do it. We don't do that anymore. And the quality is fantastic. So I just want to tell you, you're doing a fantastic job. And also, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez actually looks like an actor.
I'm learning to be an actor.
Yeah.
Councilmember Escutia Bratton. Keep those boys in line there, Roseanne.
Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, goodness. Hopefully you didn't. Anyways, Jamie, you and your team are magic. You've heard this from me before. You guys, as you well said, are small but mighty, and you do exceptional work. Your work product is second to none. I love how you are very intentional, very strategic, really stretching our marketing budget, placing the right ad at the right time, at the right place. And it's being in that industry, not everyone gets that, and you and your team do. And it's evident and very impressive. I would love, if you haven't, you spoke to it a little bit, but do you have anything in writing in terms of social media, perhaps some metrics on that, number of impressions, who's being reached, how often, in what space, what's it look like? You could address it now, but at some point I would love to see what our influence in social media looks like and what the budget allocation for that media outlet is, and do we want to continue at that level or amp that up down the road?
We definitely have that information both on our paid social media side and on our organic social media side. And I'd be happy to put together a little package for you and share that with you. But it's in the hundreds of thousands on the impressions for some of our campaigns.
Through the chair, just another quick observation. Just wanted to add that the board, is always very interested, I think, in how to continue refining, these. Just our general outreach approach. And I do think that in the fall, we'll have a really good opportunity. We're still kind of identifying, the agenda for the board study session, but I do think there's a really good opportunity for continuing the conversation about how to, where we are today, how to continue reaching out to folks. And some of the questions that were just asked, I think, can be part of that conversation as well. So in just a few months, maybe we can continue that brainstorming, and but appreciate all the great feedback. It's always helpful.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Thank you. Following up on Councilmember Escutia Brayton's question, how do we, we have some goals, 71% over goal, 31%. How are we measuring? What are those goals? How are we measuring that?
That's one of the, Smear's laughing because this is exactly the conversation that we had last week, whenever it was. I will tell you there is a little bit of a vagueness to it. It is a little bit of an art rather than a science in some cases. Yes, yes. And this is one of the places that, and two things have been happening. We've been working with our ad agency to better understand social media, especially with regard to social media. This is probably the biggest kind of place where it's a little nebulous. With regard to social media, we work with our advertising agency to say, we want to reach 100,000 eyeballs. We want to reach 100,000 eyeballs with our campaign. We think that is in line with how much money we want to spend. We want to spend $9,000 on that specific social media campaign. And let's see if we can actually get that number of eyeballs seeing what we're doing. Another metric that I think is actually the more important metric is that click-through rate. So it's one thing for Facebook to come back and tell us, hey, we had 100,000 sets of eyeballs that had our ad in their feed. That doesn't do that much for us. We want to know how many of those folks saw our ad and then maybe clicked where it said, click here to find out more, and then went and learned about our grant program or learned about our app or learned about whatever it might be. So that's on one side of the equation. And that's what we use Archer and Hound to help us kind of assess. On the other side of the equation, where my team, I think, is getting much better at understanding this, is we can go in and we can benchmark what we're doing against. We use the other air districts in California. We use Bay Area and South Coast, and see what are they doing and how is their social media reports, what are their numbers compared to the numbers that we're getting. And it's not quite an apples to oranges because of population, but we're beginning to get a better grasp on what we're seeing, what our numbers are, and that's all information that you can kind of pull from the back end using some of the tools that we have. We know things like they just came across my desk yesterday. The video on YouTube in May that the most people watched that we put on our YouTube channel was the May governing board meeting, which is when the budget was presented. So it kind of makes sense that usually the governing board meeting is not the top video that people are watching on YouTube, but it happened to be in May that people were watching it. So we're looking at that and then benchmarking it based on what we've done in the past, how many people are taking action on what we placed, and then what other air districts are doing. We definitely feel that there's more work that we can do to get a much better grasp on it. And I feel like the kind of new thing that's coming in is this placing media on what they call cord cutters, or the industry term is OTT, over the top. It's no longer a cable TV box that is plugged in your TV. It's now some type of Roku or Apple TV or some type of digital streaming box that then connects you to thousands of different platforms that you might be watching content on. We're beginning to understand more. If we do place an ad on Hulu, who's seeing that? How much are they seeing it? Are they taking action? How can we better leverage that cut cord cutters over the top kind of advertising that we're just beginning to do a little bit more of? It's in the 21 years since I've been here, it is so much different than it was back in 2004. It kind of makes my head turn. So I got people that work for me that are really smart.
Supervisor Pereira.
Thank you. So my first question is it true that our chair has the best favorability rating after the ads are shown?
Yes, that is true. Thank you. I wasn't going to say it, but thank you.
You're welcome. No, people made a lot of comments, and usually when we have a lot of comments, I don't comment if what I think's been said. But I just want to thank you, Jamie, you and your team. I really believe do a phenomenal job, and I just want to say thanks.
Thank you, Lloyd. Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, Jamie. I also want to compliment you and your staff on the wonderful job that you do. Excuse me, you did touch on a subject that I was going to ask, and that's more about streaming rather than social media. And I do mostly streaming, don't look at cable TV much anymore. Matter of fact, I turned in one of my boxes and may turn in the other one. So one of the streaming channels like Tubi, they do a lot of commercials. Some streaming channels do less commercials, but the one thing I noticed about them is that usually the same ad keeps coming up over and over and over again. So it's like a subliminal message to the people that they're trying to market out there. So I'm happy to hear that that's another area that you're exploring is in the streaming channels, because that's where everybody's going now, is into streaming. And thank you.
One more interesting point on streaming too is we have a better idea of who those eyeballs are. As those of us who are old enough, the eyeballs watching the broadcast your local ABC 30, that used to be Nielsen would send you the little envelope with the $2 bill and say, please let us know what you were watching over the. So it is a whole different world, kind of how you figure out who's watching what when.
Supervisor Robinson.
So Councilwoman Lewis just touched on it, but frequency. So it used to be they had to see the message at least 3 times or it didn't penetrate. Do we still look at it that way?
And through the chair, I think you're now looking even more time. That 3 is kind of the gold standard, but if we get 6 or 7 touch points on people on different platforms as well, it's not just seeing the same ad on the same platform. That's where we begin to get the action.
Any other questions? Do we have any public comment on this item?
Are there any members of the public in Fresno that would like to comment? I do see some coming up.
Daniel Cunha. I apologize for social media disaster in the back. Trying to figure out how to handle the system that we haven't even in our own office is dangerous for me. But first thing, I want to commend the board and Samir and all the way back for what Jamie Holt has done for the 20 plus years on the entire media side of continually reaching out to rural communities and being very concerned of how people take comments and all of those. But all of you did a great job, and all of you, you're right. Chair, yes, you're making the top 900 list, maybe for Academy or something, but I heard that more than ever from some of my members that they saw this ad. And buddy, they said you were serious. So that's a good one. But one thing I'd like to ask Samir and board, if it's possible, we have one of the greatest tools on the wall back here. We see it at every meeting we're at. Is it a way to get that? And I know your budget's very limited. Can we get something? And you have a couple great charts that are tremendous of the accomplishments. Even as Dr. Randolph said, I mean, not Dr. Randolph, Dr. Pacheco-Warner, the air is getting cleaner. If this can go onto an electric billboards around the valley, would some of you buy it or whatever? But that behind me tells us where we were and what great job we have done for 20 plus years with industry and the district. But I just wanted to make a comment. Jamie, your team is fantastic. You've done a great job. You impressed me when you did the car tune-up program with that African-American lady. And she was said now she got at that time, I think it was $300 or $400 to go tune up the car. And she made the comment, now I could go buy food with her children in the car, which was the greatest thing that's always stuck with me. And Samir, you got a tremendous team. And Jamie, you've done a great job. And as most of us will say, when it comes time for retirement, Samir, we're going to deny the retirement request by Jamie. But again, I want to thank the board for all you've done to show how the Valley has done a great job and how conscious we are about all of the people in all of the communities. But great job. Thank you. And I apologize for the disruption. I turned off the dang thing and I won't touch it until I get out of here. I
Happened to us all, Manuel, I'm sure.
apologize. Sorry.
No problem.
Do we have any other comments in Fresno? I don't see, I do have an online comment, Daniel Chandler.
Good morning, Mr. Chandler.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. My name is Daniel. I represent Archer and Hound Advertising. I just wanted to pop in and say thank you so much to the board and staff for your continued partnership and trust in Archer and Hound Advertising. Again, it really is an honor to serve as your marketing partner, and we're grateful for the opportunity to continue our partnership for another year. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Do we have any comments in Bakersfield?
No public comment in Bakersfield.
Thank you. Modesto, do you have any public comments on this item?
No public comments in Modesto.
All right. This
No
is an
further
action item. So
Motion to approve.
we have a motion by Supervisor Mendez and a second by Supervisor McCauley. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Mr. Chiesa,
Aye.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Ms. Escutia Brayton. Aye. Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. McCauley.
Yes.
Mr. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Pereira.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Reyna. Mr. Reyna.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Rickman.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Dr. Sheriffs.
Yes.
Ms. Shecklian.
Aye.
The chair motion passes.
Thanks again, Jamie. All right, moving right along, we are on item 11, which is a verbal report on California Air Resources Board. And Samira, are you going to do that for Dr. Pacheco Warner?
No, I just wanted
Oh.
to, through the chair, I'll let you know that she doesn't send her apologies for not being able to be here. There is a report included in the agenda. I'll just refer the board to that. If you have any questions, happy to try to facilitate those. But I know that she was really hoping to be here, but she cannot make it today.
Thank you. And we'll go on to the executive director report.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief since I think Mr. Cunha had maybe sent a signal earlier about somebody else's brevity. That wasn't me in his report for the CAC, and seemed to like that. And I will follow that theme here.
Thanks, Manuel.
But there are a few things to report, so I will report on a couple of things. I wanted to alert the board that we are advocating really heavily, continually advocating on the state budget process. You've probably been following this at different levels. It is a very difficult budget year at the state level for a variety of reasons. There's a large deficit. Generally in the state budget, there's new things like the impact from the fires, in Southern California, amongst other things, the high-speed rail challenges, some of the federal funding developments on that side of things with high-speed rail. So in the midst of all that, we continue to advocate. You did see some early success with the item that you saw earlier with the early budget actions that were taken in support of Clean Cars for All, District's Drive Clean program. We are pushing, there's still opportunity. What you saw recently was an agreement reached between the legislature and the governor at a high level in some ways. That budget is with the governor. There are still unallocated funds. In other words, it was done at a certain level to where we believe there's still funding available within the state budget that will play out a little bit further down the line here with some of the trailer bills that may come after this deal that is before the governor now. So we'll keep advocating. I've been in Sacramento. There's a coalition behind these different priorities that include the farmer program, which is a tractor replacement program, Clean Cars for All, the ag burn alternatives, the community air protection program. Those are really our top priorities, all of them basically just being clean air incentive funding. And we just continue to make the case that when you have a situation like this where there's more limited funding, that it really should be directed towards the most cost-effective programs where you have high demand and where you get the immediate return from in terms of benefit of those funds. They're also on the legislative process at the state level. Just really quickly, there were a number of policy bills that there's always a lot of legislation that goes on. Some of those bills impact the district. We were tracking those very closely. At this point, the few bills that kind of had the most direct impacts to local air pollution control districts, they didn't really make it deep into the process. And so our real focus right now is on the budget again, just making sure that we try to get some clean air funding in the final budget as that continues to play out. I also wanted to alert the board on the federal side, the advocacy that continues there. There's a federal budget that's currently in development. There's some pretty significant cuts across really every programmatic area in that federal budget. There's some similar trends to past years of some things that are a little bit unique, I think, this time around in terms of the severity of some of those. We do think there's a major opportunity, and we do think that on the congressional side of the budget development, that a lot of those really core programs that we have been a big part of in the past, the Diesel Emission Reduction Act, the Targeted Airship Grants, those are programs that we'll continue to push, and there is bipartisan support for those programs in Congress. So we're hoping that we see those programs still funded into the future. I am going to be going and really appreciate Vice Chair McCauley. We're going to be traveling to DC next week to advocate for those funds in the budget, as well as just the ongoing support that we need on the Clean Air Act implementation, make sure that we have good connection with our congressional delegation, as well as with agencies, with the new administration, make sure they understand all the progress that we're making, but all the needs that we have as well, and just communicating the need for continued investment and support in reducing emissions in the San Joaquin Valley. And then lastly, wanted to note and bring the board up to speed really quickly on some of the engagement that's been happening around hydrogen technology. There's been a couple of recent events that we were invited to participate in. I spoke at two different, one at a conference with the California Hydrogen Business Leadership Council, as well as there's an interagency forum that's related to the Arches project that I know the board has been hearing updates on, which is the state's sort of deployment of a bigger hydrogen production kind of portfolio supported by federal funds, a $1.2 billion grant from the Department of Energy. We've engaged in these different forums, have really talked a lot about the need for the Valley to benefit from these different initiatives and to try to bring this infrastructure into the region. A lot of the production, if you basically, if it comes to fruition, will be in the San Joaquin Valley. And we also hope that the off-takers, in other words, the customers that use these different availability of hydrogen fuels are also in the Valley. So that's kind of one of the big messages as well, is that, it's not just about the production of the hydrogen, but also looking at opportunities in vehicles and other applications where there may be some benefit to the use of that. So we are continuing to advocate for that. I do hope to bring, as we have the last couple of years, some of these different leaders into maybe the future study session is one opportunity for continuing to have the conversation about where all of this is and just get updates and brainstorming on how to continue to support that, as well as other technology deployments that are really important to the board and our public health mission. So I'll stop there and I'll turn it back to you, Chair, to the board. If you have any questions, happy to take them.
Any questions of Samir? Thank you for that, Samir.
I'm sorry, one last thing, if you don't
no.
mind. I really just, I asked, I don't even know why it's not in my, I think I have my old, I have one extra note. I want to let the board know that the English and Spanish versions of the annual report to the community are available. These have been mailed, several copies to each of your offices. If you haven't seen them yet, keep your eyes open for them. If you need more, let me know. Just a really well-received report. Super useful in different levels of engagement that we have, and just really excited about the fact that it's fully available in both English and Spanish. Just want to make sure you're all aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. They look really good. Thank you. Okay, any governing board member comments? I didn't think so. All right, nothing, buddy?
Rickman.
Oh, Rickman? Oh, all right. Supervisor Rickman. Oh, yeah, you got it. Come on now.
Hey, come on, I have to speak once in a while. But first of all, I just want to say sorry I was late this morning. However, I was here before Rosa was.
Oh.
But no, this morning we have in San Joaquin County, we have PG&E shutting off power for looks until the 21st.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's great. After you give them 7 or 8 increases in the last year and record profits, yet we still have to deal with these shutoffs. So I just want to let everybody know that's the reason I was late. I was dealing with some other issues for San Joaquin County.
Thank you.
Amy, you're doing great, and I think you're doing a lot better than what Vito was doing. So
yeah, I think
keep
so
up the great
too.
work.
This has been harsh.
Former Chair Chiesa.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I just wanted to shout out to Jamie Holt and her team. Jamie and I attended the ribbon cutting. It was of the Turlock School Infrastructure Project and School Bus Project. It was very well received, the collaboration with the Turlock Unified School District, 9 buses, and all the charging station. There was a lot of love given, but it's nice when you sit down with people that acknowledge that these projects are only possible without a team of people. And it wasn't just the Air District, because we wrote the check, but the school district had moved some buildings there, and they made it a true complex. And good to see, and they acknowledged the air quality benefit many times throughout the presentation. So thank you, Jamie.
All right. Well, Rosa, the room certainly brightened up when you got there. So with that, just a reminder, we are dark in July, and we will be back here in August. So meeting adjourned. Thank you, folks.